Hi, and today I'm going to the Tar Pits Museum in Los Angeles. There are things in Tar Pits Museum. I like Tyrannosaurus and T-Rex. So, get ready to action in the Tar Pits Museum. I will get and enter indoors in front of the doors and go in the Museum of Los Angeles. Wow, it says the heart of Los Angeles and the Museum of Tar Pits. But look at that. There are the museums, like natural history, sense of them. No, don't worry, I'll touch. It says Harlan's ground sloth. But these are the skeleton dinosaurs in the world. Oh, look. Let's see what's inside of the cat and tiger. Not quite. See, that's amazing. Okay, let's head on to pool lever above the exercise. Ugh. I'm too weak and strong. It says, do not sit on glass. That is the rule, okay? Yes. Okay, let's head on to skeleton. Oh, look, there's a mammoth skeleton with elephants in the world, in the Tar Pits Museum. But these aren't important of the skeleton with bisons. Oh, look, it says antique bison. But it says California saber tooth. But these are the skeleton with bisons. But it's Shast's ground sloth. Sloth skin is like that I want to be important with the bisons in the Tar Pits Museum. But this is important with the bisons and elephants. It says extinct camel, but how did that happen? Look at that. Why is it so big about the camels? Are they moved down? No, but they're still with the camels bisons in the world. But look, it's a skeleton elephants like 30 million years ago. No, it's 30,000 years ago. Okay, let's see what happens next. See the camel importation playback. Try again. There you go.
We usually think of mammoths as roaming in huge herds across vast open lands, but some of them lived in the most restricted environments of all, islands. There, over tens of thousands of years, the process of evolution helped these giants to survive by shrinking them. How did they get to islands in the first place? Some just swam if the islands weren't too far away. Climate played a role too. During ice ages, sea levels dropped as more water was taken up in glaciers. That exposed the seafloor around some islands, so mammoths could just walk across. But unfortunately, when water levels rose again, the mammoths were sometimes stranded on their islands and cut off from their original herds. Over time, animals in the isolated populations became smaller. Why? When you're small, you need less food to survive, which is helpful in places where the food supply is limited. Being smaller also makes you nimbler, good for climbing steep slopes to find food. Finally, being big helps you fight off predators, but most islands don't have large predators. So, with no need to be big, island mammoths, through the process of evolution, shrank. And mammoths weren't the only ones. Other proboscideans, such as pygmy elephants in the Mediterranean islands, pygmy stegodons in Indonesia, and pygmy Asian elephants in Borneo today, all shrank when isolated on islands. In fact, many kinds of animals all over the world have distinct species that resulted from this island dwarfism. And so, the great big powerful mammoth provides us with a small but mighty example in the pygmy mammoth of how species adapt to changing environments through the process of evolution.
The system was developed in collaboration between the company. My favorite part of the technology of the past few days has improved greatly, and the quantity is very unknown origin. They have my family and friends in my neighborhood that have a house. And that's not a very good transmission. But look, these are the mammoth skeleton. This is the elephant's poop. That is so stinky, not very polite. And can you guess how animal left behind the bathroom? Oh my god. They're the samples of it. The neighbors made prints and piles. So stinky. And the fact that the important thing about the museum was the location of the museum itself, which is the most popular place to see in Los Angeles. Oh my god. Wait, it says, thank you for your patience as we rework this display. It means it's temporarily suspended in Tarpit's museum. Oh wow, there is a dog. Oh no, it's a deer, skeleton deer in the Museum of the World. But their origins, new stuff, but they're like a skeleton fish like that. But they're public places. Did I get it? Yes, but they're the skeletons in the world. But I'm happy to see his with my friends, and they're working on it. And the fact that I want to see is the skeleton dinosaurs and bisons in the world, but they're like the natural history museum in the world. Like, I will be coming with you, like an event or something like that. But they're the museums like Tyrannosaurus and dinosaurs, but they're most likely to have. Look, the mammoth is so big. They're called the oxen, the Michael Jackson, as they're irrelevant. And I definitely not going to see show a movie in 3D in this family.
Fossils like this one, maybe we could get some clues about what
Alex and me are going to get some stuff in the world with Curious in that plan. I know how this alpha formed, but please take a seat in the playback.
The La Brea Tar Pits and Museum is the world-famous home to millions of Ice Age fossils of animals and plants that were trapped in the tar over the past 50,000 years. The stuff oozing out of the ground at the La Brea Tar Pits is actually asphalt, a low-grade crude oil. To understand how it got here, we have to travel back in time 20 million years to the formation of the Los Angeles Basin. The Pacific Plate and North American Plate share a boundary called the San Andreas Fault. It's pretty famous, perhaps you've heard of it. The Pacific Plate started its northwest motion about 20 million years ago, stretching out parts of the western continental crust like pizza dough. One of those stretched out areas became the Los Angeles Basin, a bowl-shaped geologic feature that stretches from the San Gabriel Mountains in the east to Palos Verdes in the west. The basin was filled with ocean water and marine life, including including tiny microorganisms called diatoms, a type of algae with a glass-like silicate shell. Over millions of years, diatoms died and sank to the basin floor. Seismic activity continued to shape the basin, and sediments piled up, making the bottom of the basin tunnel, a process known as subsidence. Sedimentary layers rich in diatoms were pushed deeper and deeper under the weight, and the pressure of the overlying sediment created the perfect conditions to heat up the organic matter and convert it into oil. This perfect range of temperatures is called an oil window. California is famous for its earthquakes. In addition to the San Andreas Fault, there are also many smaller cracks and fissures, like the 6th Street Fault, which runs right through, you guessed it, 6th Street, which is right next to, you guessed it, the La Brea tar pits. Seismic activity allowed the oil to make its way up to the surface through cracks in the ground, creating thin asphaltic seams. Plants and animals started getting trapped in the asphalt about 50,000 years ago, and they've continued getting stuck ever since. Which brings us to today, where excavators and scientists work together to explore the jumbled up remains of these asphalt-rich fossil deposits.
The Tar Pits Museum is irrelevant, but they're good some ways and the best times. And they're public places. They're beautiful and shining outside over there. But what's that? This was it. No, okay? So, block of bone from pit AB1. Okay, so the Tyrannosaurus is the skeletal Tyrannosaurus. Alright, let's get out of the indoors. Wow, there are public places, and that time we have plenty of time to get there. But still, I was digging the pit. The bridges and everything is in here, okay? There are the rules of Tar Pits Museum. Please no climbing on rocks. That's plenty of rules and warnings. And that. Okay, so there are plants and gardens in Los Angeles, like here. But they're at the time of the Natural History Museum. But we also, I don't have to wear a mask, but company of friends is still good there. I know, I closed the door, but it's pretty good. I know, but it's not that bad, right? So, thank you. Goodbye. I'll see you next time.